everyone, welcome to Hunt, Kill, Cook. My name is Andre, and in this video we're going to be covering whitetail deer habitat. Where do deer live and how do they use their natural environment? The goal of this video is to make you a better hunter so that you can more easily pattern deer and ultimately be more successful in the woods. This video has a companion article that we wrote on huntkillcook.com. The link will be in the description. Feel free to go and check that out. Follow along with this video, and it's got a lot more information with screenshots of terrain and how deer use different types of topographical features. It's packed full of stuff, so go check it out for us. We really appreciate it. First, let's talk about woods and forests. Now, it's no surprise that deer thrive in the woods, but why is that? Biodiversity. There are a ton of different plants that deer can eat, that they can take shelter in, and food and shelter are at the top of any animal's priority list. When I say diversity,
an old wooden ship.
According to deerassociation.com, on an annual basis, the whitetailed deer's diet consists of browse, forbs, mast, and crops. Now, when I talk about browse, what is that? That is basically anything that a deer can easily grab, the green shoots off of plants that are right about head height, our shoulder level and below. Forbs are broadleaf plants that are basically grasses, clovers, that sort of thing. Mast is nuts that fall out of trees, and no, I'm not talking about hunters that don't wear saddles. And crops. In the comment section below, take the minute right now and put, what do you think the deer eat most of annually? Crops, mast, forbs, or browse? If you said crops, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Crops are really only about 4% of a deer's diet annually. Now, although this does change seasonally, all of this does, and deer instinctually seem to know what is in season and what isn't. Crops is really just a small portion. A much larger portion is that browse, those green shoots or little woody shoots like multiflora rose bushes, something that is really palatable, tender, that they can, as they're traveling through the woods, they can just pick and nibble little bites. That is a huge portion of their diet at 46%. And so that can make deer hard to pattern in the woods. But like I said earlier, seasonality is really the key here. How can you pattern a deer? It's by capitalizing on the seasonality. Maybe there is a fruiting apple tree that's hanging out in the woods, or a particular oak tree that's dropping acorns. Those are the types of things that you want to narrow down on and try to find what Warren Womack calls the feed tree. It's the hot sign on a specific tree. There might be a ton of trees dropping acorns, but really there's going to be one that deer find the most palatable. You're going to find a lot of sign around, like fresh droppings and tracks, and it's going to be concentrated around one tree. That's where you want to be, and if you find that, mark it on your map and plan to hunt that very, very soon, because being seasonal, all of these things change. They might clean up all the acorns around that one tree and then they're gone off somewhere else. And your best laid plan is now foiled due to the deer's ever-changing palate. Next up, it's grasslands and open fields. When I think open fields, I really don't think about a very huntable area, and usually it's not. But deer do use these open areas all the time. In the spring and summer, they're out just grazing, and they can be out tempting you as you're wishing for hunting season to begin. You see all the deer in the evenings out in the fields, and you're just waiting for that day, and when it finally arrives, they completely disappear. And yeah, that sucks, but that's just part of it because, again, seasonality is just so important. But deer use these open fields a lot of the times at night as travel corridors, as many a busted hood and bumper can attest to. But that is just the reality of it. The hunting pressure is a major factor in how deer move, and in the summer and the spring, when hunting season is not on, they're out just walking around. You might see them in daylight hours, and they know that they're safe out, but then somehow they just get a sense for the pressure that's put on them when hunting season begins, and they begin to pull back into the thick cover, or they would just bed down in an open CRP field. And these are basically large, unkept fields of just random, whatever is natural for that area, that comes up. And deer love this because it's usually really, really thick and they can just lay there all day. This isn't the most huntable terrain, but it is important to know that deer use this, and it might even be a destination that, although you can't hunt it directly, you know that deer are traveling in and out of that area, and then you can target the travel corridors from a CRP, tall grass bedding area, and the feed tree that we talked about earlier. Next, let's get to swamps and wetlands.
My swamp!
Swamps and marshes can be great sources of cover and security for deer. There is a lot of cover, like cattails. Deep water, limited access is just thick and nasty and hard to get into for all sorts of animals, including humans. And so this is a place where deer can feel free to do whatever their little deer hearts desire, and to do it without fear of predators. This can be a very challenging place to hunt and to locate deer, but if you are adept in this area, you can be highly, highly successful. Really, it's gonna come down to almost always, you want to concentrate in on the food and bedding and finding those trails that go between. Now, deer are creatures of habit. They are going to find trails that are path of least resistance, and they're going to use those. So just like basically in any scenario, you're looking for food, you're looking for bedding, and the travel corridors that go between them. Again, in that article that we wrote, we talk a lot more in detail about these things, about how deer use topography, and how that influences their movement. So be sure to check that out at huntkillcook.com. Let's move on to agricultural lands. Now, ag lands is exactly what people think about, at least around here, when they're talking about hunting deer. Big cornfields, bean fields is what's popular here in central Ohio, but this could extend out to all sorts of different crops that deer they love to eat them. It's not a huge portion of their diet like we talked about earlier, but man, it can be a serious attractant for deer, and they cannot be overlooked when hunting season comes around. Coincidentally, hunting season comes around, harvest season, they come together. It can be a beautiful marriage, sanctified by God. With ag lands, there are a lot of factors that can make these huntable or not huntable. In the case of soybeans, where they're pretty low to the ground, it's hard to walk through a soybean field and walk up to a deer. Like, you're not going to do that. Even if you are the sneakiest man on earth, you're Craven the Hunter, you are definitely not going to walk up on a deer like that. But maybe in a cornfield you can, because obviously corn's a lot taller, you can be concealed. On a windy day, you could find yourself going upwind and trying to cross a trail, trying to find where deer are bedded down. You can peek your head in and out of the corn stalks. It can be a wonderful place to encounter deer in a heart-beating, exciting kind of way. So there's a lot of different factors. Sometimes when harvest season comes and they take all the crops off, it's back to open fields and it's just food sources. And with these food sources, you can still pattern deer on them. You'll see them out as daylight hours begin to fade. You'll see deer come out of the woods and start eating in these, and it's a great destination. Now, with destinations, we've kind of talked about ad nauseum, food and bedding. We keep saying this because it's vitally important to find these things. You know that it's not necessarily the most huntable location, but finding those travel corridors. That if there was going to be any one point to how to hunt based on the information that we've given in the article and in the video, it is finding those travel corridors between destinations. Not that you would set up on deer in a crop field, although you can. It's more about when the deer are coming in the evening, or they're going out in the morning, understanding where deer are moving and what 2 points they are traveling between and how you can ambush is really going to up your hunting and increase your success. So there we go, the key components of whitetail deer habitat. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, put a comment in. We love engaging with the community and talking to you. We respond to every comment, and we love to hear from you. If there's something we missed, something we can make better. Some people love to tell us how stupid our music is and how loud it is, and get off my lawn kind of stuff, but we love that too. So be sure to do that. My name is Andre. This was Hunt Kill Cook, out.